Tonight, 7 Democratic presidential hopefuls will take the stage in Los Angeles for the 6th Democratic debate. Each candidate had to have at least 200,000 unique donors and reach 4% in at least 4 national or early state polls to qualify.
This is the last debate of 2019. It comes one day after the House voted to impeach President Donald Trump. Host of Why You Should Care and The Remedy, Jamal Simmons, he's on the ground in Los Angeles. He joins us live with a preview of what to expect tonight. Jamal, it's great to see you. How are you doing?
Good morning, guys. Welcome. It's cold here in Southern California. Nobody told us that, but it's great out here in the morning. How are things going over there?
Yeah, no, it's bitterly cold here, so don't worry about it.
We're not buying that.
Yeah, we're not buying that. Jamal, tell us a little bit about what we can expect tonight. Where are you currently? Where is the debate going to be happening? And just tell us what some of the dynamics here at play from some of the people that you've spoken to on the ground.
All right, you see behind me, I'm in front of this beautiful Sacred Heart Seminary here on the campus of Loyola Marymount University on the west side of Los Angeles. This is a university that's about 100 years old. This building has been here about half the time that the university's been here. About 6,600 students. They pay about $50,000 a year in tuition. It's a private school founded by the Jesuits in Sacred Heart. Tonight, just a little bit on the other side of the camera, there are going to be 7 Democrats on stage here in a center where they're going to have a conversation, I think, with a lot of different dynamics in play. If I'm one of the candidates thinking there, if I'm one of the advisors, there are a couple things to worry about. Mayor Pete Buttigieg, he's been at the lead, probably one of the people who's been kind of moving up in the polls longer than anybody other than Biden, if you think about how long he's been ahead or kind of leading in a state like Iowa, let's say, right? So if you're Pete Buttigieg, you got to look out for somebody coming for you tonight. If you're Elizabeth Warren, you got more splaining to do when it comes to your plans and how you're paying for them, particularly around Medicare for All. And we just saw what happened in this court decision with the individual mandate, which may actually strengthen the case for people who want to do Medicare for All. Because if you get rid of the individual mandate and the ACA goes away, that means you got to start over. So why not start over and do something a lot of progressives want to do anyway? Right. So you got to have a big question about that if you're there. And then if you're Joe Biden, you got to, I think this Ukraine and impeachment has got to be something that Joe Biden's going to have to really get into and talk about while he's here and Klobuchar's here. One thing that's going to be happening, it's a little bit unfair, right? Andrew Yang is the only person of color who's going to be on the stage. Cory Booker's made a big deal out of this. A lot of the candidates have been talking about this. But it's kind of unfair to put Andrew Yang on the hook to be the one person to talk about people of color issues. All these candidates are going to have to talk about issues that go to people of color. So I think the question is, who on that stage is going to really pick that up, or is everybody going to pick up some piece of it and talk about issues like immigration, criminal justice reform, the kinds of things that people of color want to hear about in the country? So I mean, for Bernie Sanders has a really big opportunity tonight if he's concerned about trying to build out more Democrats in the primary. You know, we on The Remedy did a show about imagining a Bernie Sanders presidency. And one of the things Chuck Rocha told us, and I know you guys cover this all the time, is that they're also thinking about how they bring in new people into the party, right? So if that's the case, then this debate doesn't mean anything to Bernie Sanders. But if he's looking for a constituency that he can grow outside of his core constituency, a debate like tonight is a time for him to talk to some Democrats and figure that out.
Yeah, well, and of course, California, one of the first states to have a large Latino population that'll be at the polls. That's a strong suit for Bernie Sanders, or it has been at this point in the race. Jamal, I was wondering from your experience, kind of put into context what phase of the campaign we're in right now, because for so long everybody's, oh, it's so far off, we've got so much time, so much time, so much time. Well, we're getting down to it where there actually isn't that much time left. There aren't that many more opportunities to shake up the dynamic of the race. So just kind of put that in context, how you think about what phase of the campaign we are in or entering right now.
As you guys know, we are moving into the holidays. So what's going to happen, I think, for the next couple of weeks is everything's going to sit pretty still because most people aren't going to be paying attention to this craziness that's taking place in the country. They're going to be paying attention to their families. So you got a little bit of a lull that's got to take place. But when January hits, this is the final stretch. People are going to be sprinting into Iowa, which is February 3rd. And then New Hampshire comes a week after that, and Nevada and South Carolina. So those first 4 states. And then remember California, this state right here, the ballots go out on February 3rd. So the person who wins Iowa and the person who wins New Hampshire, they're going to have each one of those weeks, there are going to be people with ballots in their hands who are going to be sending those ballots in after those contests have taken place. So the California primary is not going to happen in a vacuum. So California and Texas, actually. So there's going to be a momentum. I think we've got one more movement left. You know, we think like there's some stability that's taking place. There's one more movement left. And if you're on this debate stage, I would argue the biggest thing you have to do is play defense, because only Kamala Harris seems to have scored a point earlier in the debate cycle, she went after Joe Biden, and she seemed to pop up in the polls for a few weeks, and then she lost that momentum. But nobody else has really gained anything by being on the debate stage. But people have lost. Elizabeth Warren lost something when she couldn't talk about her Medicare for All plans. Kamala Harris lost something when Tulsi Gabbard came for her. Joe Biden, who looked unsteady in some of these debates. So if I'm them, play defense tonight, get back to your strategy. And you know what? I've been sitting here in California for the last day, watching television a little bit in the news. Tom Steyer and Michael Bloomberg ads are blanketing the airwaves in the state.
Lord.
They are everywhere.
Wow, that's a good thing. So that's the real thing. We forget Tom Steyer's also going to be up on that stage, right? I mean, what is in his ads? Actually, tell us, Jamal. I've never watched a Tom Steyer ad. What does the core message of a Tom Steyer candidacy? What is it? I really don't get it. I think it has something to do with climate change.
Talks a lot.
Yeah.
He does talk a lot about his ads about climate change. He does talk about the things that he and his family have done for low-income people in San Francisco with their community bank they set up. So he talks about the ways he's used his money to try to help other people. I think that's the fundamental part of his campaign. It's like, I'm a billionaire, but I'm using my money to help other people. Michael Bloomberg is doing a really interesting thing. I mean, today he kind of came after Joe Biden a little bit. I guess yesterday, came after Joe Biden a little bit on this experience thing. But it smells a lot to me like Michael Bloomberg is running a super PAC disguised as a presidential campaign, because he takes after Donald Trump in most of the ads that you see. He talks about himself, and he talks about Donald Trump. He doesn't talk that much about other people in terms of the TV ads he's up. And he's now saying he's going to keep people on the payroll all year next year, and he's going to be running a sort of a robust organization in super PAC. I think he's found a way to spend money in this campaign as a candidate and not just doing it as an outside group.
Interesting. I mean, that gravy train is good for all the people that are, all the staffers who are on board the Bloomberg gravy train. Those checks are going to cash. What do you think about the fact, look, he said he's not going to take any donations. So he has taken himself out of contention to be on this debate stage, even as a lot of polls have him at 5%, 6%. He's sort of starting to eat into Pete Buttigieg in particular. He gets a lot of media attention. Of course, he can pay for as much communication as he possibly wants to, as you're pointing out. For most of these candidates, they're desperate to get on the debate stage. He seems to be avoiding wanting to have that kind of accountability and that kind of freewheeling conversation. Personally, and maybe this is like a not popular take, I would like to see him up on that stage so he could be challenged by the moderators, so he could be challenged by the other candidates in the race.
I think that you're right. He should be challenged by the moderators and other candidates. But if you're the Bloomberg campaign, back to the point I was making earlier, what do you really gain from being on the debate stage? Just more opportunities for you to do something wrong and make a mistake. And then that becomes a story. Even if you do something really great, how long does that last? A couple days, a week maybe at the most? It seems like those things are really ephemeral. So if you're them, I don't know why people are clamoring to get up on the stage. If you're somebody who's got $100 million to spend on television and talk directly to the American people.
Yeah, and he's got much more than $100 million.
He's got a lot more than that.
And that's just the beginning.
Certainly does. All right, Jamal.
That's true.
Thank you, Jamal. Appreciate it.
All right, you too. Thank you. All right, see you soon.
Next on Rising, one person has consistently been against Democrats' logic for impeachment. That's friend of the show, Kyle Kulinski.
He's going to tell us why he thinks the Dems have picked the weakest impeachment argument possible. Always love talking to Kyle. That when Rising returns.